Hello, 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 and welcome back. I wanted to show you my finished prayer flags and show you how I am going to hang the prayer flags together as well, and say thank you again for everyone who joined me live this morning and all of you who have watched the replay. Thank you so much. What a lovely, lovely way to start my New Year's Day. And I got out for a walk, had beautiful breakfast, and saw a pair of bald eagles, which is always so inspiring to see bald eagles, and then came back and finished up adding details to my flags. So this little bit larger one is my center flag. I have some ribbon and some twine here that I'm going to use. And you can see I've added a lot more detail and paint to each of the flags. I also took these over to my sewing machine and have stitched up the tops of them as well. So I have a space to hang my ribbon. I also added words to each of them to kind of capture different aspects of my mantra. And I'm pretty happy with how they came out. I love stringy bits, so I've left the stringy bits. I added some writing to these to kind of help me remember what these labels mean, and nobody can really read those, really, including myself. But remember that your handwriting is a beautiful way to add marks. So you can see I've gone back in with Posca markers and other paint markers and added a variety of marks and texture to the different pages. I was going to add some more stitching to them, but I feel like they're pretty complete and they're quite busy as they are. And that last step is going to be to string these beauties and decide what order that they're going to go in. They don't have to go in any special order. Okay, so I think they're going to go in this order. I have my camera zoomed in so you can see them up close, and they're shiny. That matte medium on there is a little bit shiny in that light. So when it comes to stringing them, I had this really pretty blue ribbon, but I don't have enough of it, but I really like it. So I'm going to put the blue through just this center one here. And I'm probably going to use a paintbrush. A skewer would work well for this. A safety pin might be another way to do it, but we're going to see if we can do it. It's not a small space, so I'm going to just see if I can use a paintbrush. Well, that's not working. Actually, a pair of scissors will be perfect. And I'm just going to get that ribbon in there as far as I can on my own, get some of it bunched up in there. Come on, minute. This is the fussy part. And this one has the biggest hole, so it's actually going to be the easiest to push through there. Make sure we've got our hole open all the way through. Somewhere I have a really nice long pair of tweezers. I have some knitting needles, which would work well as well. Oh, my scissors aren't quite long enough. Well, that's not really helpful, is it? Okay, so I can feel the ribbon over here on the other side. Oh, I've got some extra long paintbrushes. So I should have thought about the tools I needed before I started the video. And I'm going to want to make sure that this ribbon is flat in order to hang it. And you have a couple of options here. So one of the options would be to let all of the flags kind of get bunched up together, but I actually like a little space between them. So you could put some beads between them. I don't know that I have any beads that are big enough, but I could use some embroidery floss and hang some beads off of some of these if you wanted to make it even a little bit more decorative, but I think I'm just gonna put a little bit of a loose knot in here. And that's gonna keep it, even though my space is big, that's gonna help me remember where this flag is hanging here. Again, I don't need that knot to be super tight, but I also think it just adds a little decorative look. I could even add a couple of little knots, but it's going to keep it from sliding a ton. And then I need to decide if, so this is long enough for 2 of these, if that's what I want, or maybe I actually want to tie something else to this to go through the next piece, but I'm kind of thinking I'm going to go ahead and have this blue go all the way through to the next one. This may be a little bit trickier just because, let me get this opened up a little bit. So my canvas is stiff from all the layers of paint. So I'm just using my scissors to kind of open up that stiffness a little bit. And then I'm going to make sure I get that started in there, get the scissors in the middle of that. Almost to the other side. There we go. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of space between these because when we get this, you know, hanging on the wall, we want them to breathe, not be right smack up on top of each other. Definitely like that blue ribbon. I'm sorry I didn't have a longer piece of that, but that's all right. And then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. I'm going to take that very well-loved pair of scissors. Just open that space up a little bit so that the ribbon's going to be easier to put through. And I love this old pair of scissors. This is an old Creative Memories pair of scissors I've had since I did a little bit of Creative Memories scrapbooking way back in the day when my son was little, and he's now almost 25, and they have stayed sharp and wonderful all of this time. I can see it in there. There we go. All right. Love all these little scrappy bits hanging. And you can see how it's not long enough here for this other piece. And so you could use absolutely anything to string your banner on. I had also some pretty lace, which I considered, but I think I'm going to skip the lace. I had just a nice ball of twine. This is like kitchen twine. This would have been a simple, easy thing to hang it on, or any scraps of any kind of ribbon would work to string your flags on. But I want to continue the blue theme, and I love this bright blue ribbon. So I'm not going to cut this yet because I don't know how much I need. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this little blue ribbon around my other ribbon. And I'm going to go ahead and put a square knot in this. And that's going to add another little layer of festive funness in here. And I like that look, right? If you like yours to be really neat and not quite so festive, then you're definitely going to want to make sure you have just one seamless piece of ribbon to cover up the whole end. But color was more important to me on this one. Okay, so I'm just doing what I did before, getting that hole nice and open. Get that other end of that blue. This is a long, skinny one. I should, in theory, be able to just push this one all the way through. So we'll see. it may need a little bit of help just because it's so fine. I love when I'm filming these videos, and if you can see that ribbon's all just kind of bunched up right here in this end, there it went out the other end. When things don't work out, when I have an idea, and I love that you're seeing me mess up because this is never about perfectionism for me. It is always about let's try it and see what works and figure it out together. So again, I love these little nibbly bits here. Almost wish I'd left that one just a little bit longer. And then I need enough of this piece to kind of repeat the blue on the other end, but I also want to make sure that I leave enough on this end for hanging. And another thing you could do is if you wanted it to really stay put on the ribbon and not move around at all, you could actually stitch the ribbon on your sewing machine or by hand. You could close the gap in the seam here so that ribbon would stay in place. But one of the things I love about the prayer flags is they're meant to move. They're not meant to stay in place. And so I want them to be able to move a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put a little knot in this one as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's go ahead and put that last one on here. And interestingly, that ribbon is almost long enough, but not quite. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're just going to tie that little string out of the way. Just a little double knot. I'm just going to knot this right around that blue thread, leaving a little space here for this to float in between. Just double knot that so it stays in place. I'm probably going to trim this one so it's not so long, but I'm going to leave it as it is for just a minute. It's going to do like we've done with all the other ones. I'm just using a pair of scissors to kind of help me flatten this, open this up a little bit. You could use a bone folder to do this, depends on how big you left your fold at the top. But we just want to open up that space a little bit so it makes it easier for that thread to get in there. And I can see where I've got a little bit of that paper coming up right there. And so I'm just going to grab my glue stick, which is sitting right here, and just do a little quick repair. And I'm going to open this back up again. A pencil would also work really well to open up this space and put that thread back in there. I want to get enough pushed in there so that when I stick a pair of scissors, look, that one decided to go almost all of the way through. Can't quite reach it because my hole's small, so my fingers don't want to go in there. So I'm just going to go over here and see if we can push that all the way out the other end, or at least close enough where I can grab it. You could, this is nice and fine. I could have put this on a big embroidery needle of some kind, but that seemed like more effort than I wanted to put in it. All right, we're going to put a little knot in this one. I have all kinds of fun charms and things, and I'm wondering if I want to add some other little decorative bits to this, but I may just hang it up for a while and then decide. So bear with me. I'm going to zoom way out on my camera here for a second so you can see the whole thing, and you'll be able to see my very, very messy desk as well. But there we have our gorgeous prayer flag with a little bit of space, a little bit of movement. And definitely think I'm going to trim these little extra pieces off a little bit. And that one's not super tight on there, so But I'm really pleased with how these came up. They're going to be a beautiful addition to hang in my studio. And I'm looking at them and thinking, oh, some of that lace on there might be fun as well. So it's fun to take a minute and to look at them all together as they're finished and just decide what else do they need. Like I could add just that little bit of lace here at the bottom, and that feels really fun and festive. And I could just glue that lace on, or I could go stitch that up on my sewing machine. And because I'm kind of lazy and I'm sitting over here and my bobbin needs to be refilled, I'm probably just gonna glue that on there for the moment. And that just adds, again, a little more texture and playfulness. I love these bits of old lace that a girlfriend gave me, so it's getting little snippets of her energy into the project as well. I'm putting down a big thick layer of that glue stick to make sure that fabric sticks on there. Lovely, just little small finishing touch on each of those. Yes, yes, yes. So fun. I'm super pleased with how this project came out. So if you're new to my YouTube channel, and this is one of my first projects that you have participated in, everything is an experiment. This is like way more step by step than I normally do. Most of the time, I'm just sort of talking about a topic and creating as I go. I'm here on Painting in Your PJs to really focus on how do we use art as a process for personal growth and self-discovery. And every time I take on a project, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I haven't planned or prepped ahead of time. I knew I wanted to create prayer flags. I knew that we were going to write mantras, and that's all I knew. And it could have not worked at all, but I'm actually really, really happy with how the project turned out. And there are lots of times when I create spreads in my art journal that I don't love, and sometimes it's the ones that I don't love that have the most to teach me for that day, which is often about letting go of outcomes, quieting my inner critic. Hi, Georgia. You wanna come say hi? Come on. I have a kitty in my lap. Okay, so now I am going to call this done and find a place to hang it up in my studio. I will post a picture here on the YouTube post as well as on my Instagram at Dr. Minette Riordan, showing it hanging in my studio. There's Georgia. She loves to lay half in my lap and half on the table. Let's get our string going here again. And she's like, oh, mama, string. So now we have this gorgeous string of flags ready to grace the walls of my studio and to remind me of my mantra this year, which is I am light. Thanks again for joining me live. Thanks again for catching the replay. Please share your comments, your mantras, and over on Instagram, share pictures of your prayer flags using the hashtag New Year's Prayer Flags, New Year's Prayer Flags. And I'd love to celebrate you and see what it is that you've created. Thanks so much for joining me. This was a fun project and a lovely way to kick off the new year with all of you. Thanks and have an amazing rest of your day. I will be back Tuesday morning, January 2nd at 7 a.m. Mountain Time to talk about how I do vision boards and how I do them differently than most people do them. So come and join me live or catch the replay. If you love creating vision boards, maybe it's time to start something new this year. I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.